YouTube. So this is kind of like a random video I decided to do. I was watching my boot camp video and I decided, I'm like, dang, it's been, I don't know how long, I think it's been almost 2 years since I gave y'all that boot camp video, and I never gave y'all this quarantine story time. So I gotta sit here and tell y'all about this quarantine story time. So I'm gonna get into it. I also want to give y'all a little bit of life update. For those of y'all who don't know, I'm locked. So it doesn't look like I'm locked, but I'm locked. I have micro locks. That's why I had to wear this bonnet, because I didn't want to, I didn't want to let the Felicia braids show. But yes, I have micro locks. For as far as the number of micro locks I have, I believe it's at least 250 locks based on what my loctician says. Yes, so at least 250. I don't know the exact number though. But I was working on some nails, or I was gonna try to work on some nails. For those of y'all who don't know, I did get into doing press-ons. So I have a business with press-ons. This is my little table. I was gonna start doing some stuff. Y'all don't judge me, because me and my husband moved into this apartment. So we didn't move from Florida, we're in Missouri. We've been in Missouri for like 10 months now. So yeah, there's that. We did relocate, and we didn't really get a lot of furniture for our apartment, to be quite honest with you. But anyways, that's beside the point. So that was just a little bit of a mini life update there. So as far as this quarantine boot camp story, let me get into it. Okay, so it pretty much started when it comes to my quarantine story. The quarantine started because she was actually my bunkmate. So I had this bunkmate, and she ended up getting COVID. So she ended up getting COVID, but we didn't know she had COVID right away. She had went to sick call, and she hadn't come back, but it hadn't really been long since she went to sick call, so we didn't really know exactly what was going on with her or whatever. So she went to sick call. Like I said, she didn't come back because she had COVID. And on Easter Sunday of 2020, so on Easter 2020, we were told that our bunkmate, or not our bunkmate, she was my bunkmate, because she was the top bunk and I was the bottom. I was the top bunk and she was the bottom bunk. So they were basically just saying that somebody in our compartment had it, and we pretty much knew it was her. I don't recall if they told us exactly if it was her or not. And they basically gave us a screening test. Like, they just asked everybody in the compartment, like, did you have any symptoms? Did you have any close contact with her or anything like that? And long story short, basically everybody in the compartment said no, like, we didn't have any contact with her. Nobody felt sick. Nobody was experiencing any symptoms. I think they took our temperature and everybody was fine. So they let us go. After that, they pretty much just left. And so after they left, we pretty much just continued on with our Easter festivities like nothing happened. Then about like 4 hours later, they delivered the news that we were going to be moving from the first floor to the third floor because we were being put in quarantine. So some people were upset about it, because I had literally just got my departure date, and I was supposed to leave April 9th of 2020, and I ended up not leaving until, like, it wasn't long after. I believe it was like the 12th or 13th or something. So hypothetically speaking, it wasn't a long time, but it felt like it was quite a minute. So yes, I ended up getting my departure date delayed because we ended up getting put in quarantine. I couldn't leave while we were on quarantine. So I ended up leaving the day after our quarantine was lifted. So let me tell y'all about quarantine, y'all, because quarantine was actually lit. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm not gonna hold you. Quarantine was lit. Like, I had a great time in quarantine. Like, it sounds weird, but I had a really good time in quarantine. So for people that know me, just a fun fact about me, the song The Box by Roddy Ricch, I hate that song. Like, and this is why, because when I was in quarantine or whatever, one of the girls in the compartment with us, she had been there for a while. she had been like in SEPS for like a year and some change. It was rough. Like she got med boarded, which basically just meant that she was actually getting like compensation after she left boot camp. So when that does happen for you, it makes your process take a lot longer because they have to go through the case since she was still getting benefits after she left. And she did get those benefits last time I heard. She's doing good. I just saw her on Facebook. She had a baby. So if she does happen to see this video for whatever reason, she'll know what I'm talking about. All right. So, yes, she had a radio. Someone actually sent her a radio while she was in SEPS. And the radio will pay the box, no lies, like 4 times a day. Sometimes, like I would say at least every hour, every other hour, the box will play, and I would hear it on and on and on. Because it was a new song. Like in 2020, around that time, I believe the box had just come out or it had been out for some months. I'm not sure, because a lot of good music came out while I was in boot camp, and I found out about it afterwards. I had to get hip after I got out. But yes. So once everybody was like super sad about going into quarantine. We had to move all of our stuff. Moving your stuff in boot camp is a hassle, like it is. Whenever you have to switch bunks or stuff, oh, that's the worst. I hate it. Your A and B drawer, all that other stuff. It's just a mess. It's very ghetto. So pretty much, I had to move all our stuff up 3 flights of stairs. That wasn't cute. Some of the stuff was heavy. You know, some people had a lot more stuff than others because naturally some people just bring more stuff from home. So we ended up going up to the 3rd floor. And when we got to the 3rd floor, we were pretty much unsupervised. Like, it was girls going wild up there because none of the petty officers or the chiefs or anything would be in the room with us. Like, they didn't stay in the room with us at all because nobody wanted to risk getting COVID because they weren't sure if we had it because they didn't believe us when we told them that we didn't have no symptoms or nothing. So typically when you're in SEPS, a petty officer or chief, or whatever the case may be, is always present in the room with you because people in SEPS do have issues with depression, anxiety, suicide thoughts, all those things. So if you're in a regular division, like you're training, the RDCs are always with you. Or they're not always with you, I lied. So they're there with you for the day, but then after taps and the lights go off and the nice red lights go on or whatever the case may be, after bedtime, they leave. They don't come back until the morning to wake you up like around 4 or 5, depending on your RDC. So, yes. They don't come back until the next day. So they leave you there overnight by yourself. And, you know, you kind of just do your thing, go to sleep. Some people don't go to sleep. Some people, like, stay up and write letters and stuff like that because they can't sleep. It depends. I was tired. I went to sleep. But a lot of people did stay up and write letters and stuff. So when we were in quarantine, it was different. So there were never any RDCs or petty officers there. Towards the end of our quarantine, they would come in there to keep us company because it was crazy in there. Like, it was rough, y'all. It was rough, but it wasn't as rough as I thought it was going to be. So when we first got there, everybody was like, what? We just had to have bag lunches because we couldn't go to the galley. That was the worst part. That was the only part that was like sending people over the edge. Like, we just want real food because for like 10 days straight, all we were eating were bag lunches. So fruits, vegetables. I think that's why I lost so much weight in boot camp now that I think about it. That makes so much sense. So a fun fact about me, y'all, I don't eat sandwiches. So I have like bread sometimes if it's like a biscuit or a croissant or something like that. If I keep looking away, it's because my husband kept going back and forth to the bathroom. But yes, so fun fact about me, y'all, I don't eat sandwiches like regular wheat bread or anything. I pretty much just eat croissants or biscuits. So when I was in boot camp and we were eating those bag lunches, I was hungry because I was surviving off of chips, juice, like some crackers, and that's it, like an apple or something. I was hungry. That's why I lost all that weight. I was just sitting there thinking about in boot camp how I lost like 30 pounds in boot camp, and I'm like, I did not work out not one time because the first time we got beat, I had my first panic attack. So I'm like, how did I lose all this weight? I never worked out. It's because of what I was eating. But anyways, now that we got that out of the way, that was pretty much the only complaint we had. We had like a TV in there with a DVD player, so we watched movies. We did that when we were on the first floor in SEPS too. So we would watch movies and stuff while we were in quarantine. Every now and then they would come in there and say something. Like, talk to us for a little bit. Once we had been in there longer and they pretty much knew that we were all cleared and good to go, they were more calm and stuff like that about it. But typically they would just kind of slide the food in there and close the door on us. They would check in there, be like, everybody breathing, like We still had to do watch. So when you're in boot camp, you have to take turns doing watch. Watch sucks. Watch sucks. And every time I got watch at like, I had watch one time at like midnight. It sucks when you have to wake up out your bed and your hair is all standing up and looking crazy, and you gotta slick it down and tie it up in a bun and do all this other extra stuff because you gotta do watch. In quarantine, I'm not gonna lie, y'all, we did not get dressed. That's another reason why quarantine was lit, because all the regular stuff, we were already in SEPS, so it was relaxed. But no lie, I relieved somebody for watch, and they were wearing their bandana, so they still had their scarf around their head, so they were still wearing their scarf. They had some shower shoes, some trousers, and like just a regular shirt. It was a mess, y'all. We was dying laughing in there about this stuff. Like, I cannot make this stuff up. It was a good time. Like, they would play, what would they play? Like charades after taps and stuff, because I mean, taps wasn't really taps. Like, we didn't have to, they basically told us, when we went into quarantine, they gave us a speech, and they basically said, without saying it, they said without saying, basically, we don't care what y'all do, as long as y'all don't fight, and as long as y'all not smuggling nothing that y'all shouldn't be smuggling. Like, as long as y'all not trying to get nobody to send y'all nothing that you ain't supposed to have up there in quarantine, like you slick or nothing like that. As long as you don't do those two things, they basically told us, we don't care what y'all do up there. And we definitely, like, you know, typically your hygiene is at a certain time, so you're supposed to shower at a certain time. You only have hygiene once, so if you miss it for whatever reason, you just SOL. But in quarantine, we could take 6 baths a day at any time of day. It could be 10 people in there. The whole compartment could go at once if you wanted to. I was laundry PO, so I would highly recommend. I'm like, okay. I set myself up on a schedule. I was on vacation in quarantine as laundry PO. You could not tell me nothing. I was like, look, if you want your clothes washed, shower before 3 p.m. because after 3 p.m., I'm taking my nap. I'm starting to write my book. I don't want to be bothered. I'm not washing no laundry. So if you want it washed and you want it clean by tomorrow, I suggest you go ahead and throw it in this laundry bag before 3 p.m. because after that, I'm off duty. Like, I was... Y'all, quarantine was lit. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and say the quarantine was actually like one of the most fun things that I've had, because I'm not naturally a social person. And it's so important, as I was saying in my last video, to be social. And quarantine, I mean, it wasn't that many of us in there. They only let like 10 of us be in there for quarantine because we were quarantining. And you had your whole bunk to yourself. So there was no top bunk, like you was on the top bunk, somebody else was on the bottom bunk. You could pick whichever one you wanted. So if you wanted to be on the top, then you would be on the top. And then the bottom would just be empty, because nobody could share your rack with you for sanitary purposes because of COVID and the fact that we was in quarantine. So you had your rack to yourself. You could shower whenever you wanted to. Only thing that was wrong was the food. If we would have been eating good, we would have been okay. Because I don't know, some people say boot camp food isn't good. I think they're lying. I had like some of the best food ever in boot camp. And like I said, I lost weight when I was in boot camp as well. I have gained it back since getting out. But I'm working on that, y'all. You're eating too much fast food, and that's what it is. But I'm probably gonna have to go back to eating like fruits and stuff now that I think about it, because I lost so much weight in there. Like, I'm gonna look into that. But if y'all have any tips for that, definitely let me know in the comments. So let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's pretty much concludes my quarantine story from boot camp. I'm so sorry that this is almost 2 years overdue. My goodness, that time flew by. Like, honestly, I can't believe it's been so long since I've been in boot camp, because certain things I can remember like it was yesterday, like quarantine. I just remember it because it was such a lit time. I got my hair braided in quarantine because we didn't really have nothing better to do. We really didn't. Like, all we had was time, and that was it. Like, so you could get your whole head braided. You can get like, I could have probably started my, why didn't I start my locks in boot camp? I had so much time. Not thinking. Because now that I think about it, it's like, I feel like that song where she like, I wish I had a time machine. Because now I think about it, I could have been 2 years locked right now. I wasn't doing nothing. Like, I really could have had somebody start my locks for me in boot camp. I really could have. Because, especially in quarantine. because that was like, I think we were in quarantine for like 10 days. That was 10 days where we really didn't have nothing to do. So I definitely could have started my locks in quarantine. And it's a good time because you wear your hair in a bun for most of the time. My hair grew when I was in boot camp. Because, you know, you're just wearing it in a bun. Like, you're washing it, conditioning it, putting it in a bun. Typically, for a lot of my girls of color, what we would do was we would just rock the bun all week. So they had got to be glued. That's like the only gel they got in there. I can't use that stuff every day because edges. But what typically most people would do was they would kind of just let their hair do its thing and ride out throughout the week. So kind of just maintain the ponytail or the bun as best as you can without having to take it out all the way. So just like slick it down, tie a scarf around it, and wear it like that at night, and do that for the whole week. And then Sunday, hygiene works a little bit different. So you don't, Sundays you are off from training, I believe. So a lot of people will take those Sundays, they will wash, condition their hair, moisturize it, and then get it ready for the bun again. So that's what a lot of people did end up doing. And yeah, it ended up working out a lot great for a lot of us. Like I said, I ended up growing. Like, I got some length in boot camp. Nothing crazy, but like, maybe I would say like 1.5 inches of growth. I would say is pretty fair. My hair was longer when I got out. But once again, this concludes my quarantine story as well as my life update. So once again, I have microlocks. I'm at about a little bit over 250. I moved, and yeah. And I work at AT&T now. So work at AT&T and I do nails. So I'm launching my business, or relaunching my business, on June the 25th. So stay tuned for that. Bye, guys.
I got your back just like a skirt, but let me heal where it hurt. Oh. Let me wrap my arms around you like a Band-Aid.